Hello, and welcome to another episode of Speak English Podcast. I'm David, and as always, it's great to have you here with us today.
And I'm Sarah. Thanks for tuning in. If you're new to our channel, this podcast is all about helping you practice and improve your English.
That's right, Sarah. Whether you're a beginner or someone who's been learning for a while, we've got tips and techniques that will help you speak English more confidently.
Today, we're diving into a topic that many learners are curious about. What makes native speakers sound so natural? And more importantly, how can you sound like them?
Exactly. The secret lies in a powerful technique called shadowing. It's something professional speakers and successful learners use to master pronunciation and fluency.
If you've ever struggled with sounding natural or speaking without hesitation, this episode is for you. By the end, you'll know exactly how to use shadowing to transform your English.
So, grab your headphones, find a quiet spot, and get ready to take notes. This is going to be game-changing.
Before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell so you never miss an episode. Let's get started.
Now that we've set the stage, let's dive into the heart of today's topic: shadowing. Sarah, I know this might sound like a fancy term, but it's actually quite simple. Shadowing is a language learning technique where you listen to native English speech and immediately repeat what you hear, word for word, without pausing. Imagine yourself as an echo, copying every sound, rhythm, and tone instantly. This method is incredibly effective because it trains both your brain and your mouth to work together in real time. It's not just about repeating words, it's about mimicking the natural flow of English as spoken by native speakers.
That's absolutely right, David. Think of shadowing as stepping into the shoes of a native speaker. When you shadow, you're not just saying the words, you're imitating the speaker's pronunciation, stress, and intonation. For example, if a native speaker says, "English is fun to learn," you don't just say the words. You copy how they emphasize fun and the natural flow of the sentence. It's like becoming a mirror for their speech. This technique helps you internalize the rhythm of English, which is crucial for sounding more natural and confident when you speak.
Exactly, Sarah. And here's the fascinating part. Shadowing isn't just about repeating sounds. It's about rewiring your brain to think in English instead of translating from your native language. Many learners struggle with fluency because they translate in their heads before speaking. But with shadowing, you're training your brain to process and produce English directly. Over time, this helps you speak more naturally and confidently, just like a native speaker. It's a powerful way to bridge the gap between understanding English and speaking it fluently.
I love that, David. Another thing to note is that shadowing can be adapted to different levels of learners. For beginners, it's perfectly fine to start with slower audio or even pause after each sentence to catch up. As you get more comfortable, you can gradually increase the speed and challenge yourself. The key is consistency. Practicing regularly, even for short periods, can lead to significant improvements over time. Now let's take a moment to demonstrate how this works in practice. David, would you mind giving us a quick example?
Of course, Sarah. Let me say a simple sentence, and then you'll shadow it immediately, copying my tone and rhythm. Here's the sentence. Learning English is easier when you practice every day.
Got it. Here's my shadow. Learning English is easier when you practice every day. See how I copied David's intonation and rhythm? That's the essence of shadowing. It's not just about repeating words, it's about matching the speaker's delivery. And now that we've demonstrated how it works, let's move on to the next section, where we'll explore the surprising benefits of this technique.
Now that we've explored what shadowing is and how it works, let's talk about why it's such a powerful technique for improving your English. One of the biggest benefits of shadowing is that it dramatically improves your pronunciation. When you shadow, You're not just repeating words, you're copying the exact way a native speaker pronounces them, including stress, intonation, and rhythm. Over time, this helps you sound more natural and clear, just like a native speaker. Think about it. When babies learn to talk, they don't guess how to say words. They listen to their parents and imitate them. Shadowing works in the same way.
That's absolutely right, David. Shadowing also helps you stop translating in your head and start thinking in English naturally. Many learners struggle because they translate from their native language before speaking. But with shadowing, you're training your brain to hear, process, and speak in English directly. This eliminates those long pauses where you're trying to find the right words. Over time, speaking English becomes faster, smoother, and more automatic. It's like rewiring your brain to operate in English instead of relying on translation.
Exactly, Sarah. Another incredible benefit of shadowing is that it's a two-in-one exercise. You're improving both your listening and speaking skills at the same time. When you listen closely to a native speaker and repeat what they say, you're training your ears to understand natural English speech while also practicing how to speak it. And because you're focusing on intonation, rhythm, and pronunciation, you're also getting used to how English really sounds in conversations. This dual focus makes shadowing one of the most efficient techniques for language learning.
And let's not forget about confidence, David. Many English learners feel nervous about speaking because they're afraid of making mistakes. Shadowing helps build confidence because you get used to hearing your own voice in English. At first, it might feel strange to repeat after someone, but the more you practice, the more natural it becomes. Soon, you'll feel more comfortable speaking English in real-life conversations. Plus, you don't need a partner to practice shadowing. You can do it alone, anytime, anywhere. It's like having your own personal speaking coach. Now that we've covered the benefits, let's move on to the next section where we'll walk you through the step-by-step process of practicing shadowing correctly.
Now that we've covered the benefits of shadowing and why it's so effective, let's dive into the practical side. Sarah, I know a lot of learners feel excited about trying shadowing but don't know where to start. That's why we're going to walk you through a step-by-step guide to practicing shadowing correctly. The first step is choosing the right content. You want to pick audio that's clear, natural, and at your level. If it's too fast or complicated, it'll only frustrate you and slow down your progress. Great options include podcasts, audiobooks, news reports, or even YouTube videos. For beginners, I highly recommend using content with subtitles so you can follow along easily.
That's such an important point, David. Another tip for beginners is to start with slower speed English podcasts or videos made specifically for learners. Once you're comfortable, you can gradually increase the speed. Before you start shadowing, take a moment to just listen to the audio. Don't repeat yet. Focus on understanding the words, pronunciation, and rhythm of the speaker. This helps your brain get familiar with the sentence structure and tone before you jump into speaking. It's like warming up before a workout. You prepare your mind and mouth for what's coming next.
Exactly, Sarah. Now comes the fun part, shadowing itself. As soon as you hear a sentence, repeat it immediately, like an echo. Try to match the speaker's tone, pronunciation, and speed as closely as possible. It's okay if you don't get it perfect the first time. Just keep going. Don't pause or stop, even if you miss a word. The goal is to keep the flow of English going, so your brain gets used to processing and producing the language in real time. If shadowing at full speed feels too challenging, you can slow down the audio. Many apps, like YouTube or podcast players, let you adjust the playback speed. Start at 0.75x speed and work your way up as you gain confidence.
And here's another pro tip. Repeat the same clip several times. Each time you practice, you'll understand more and sound better. For example, the first attempt might feel difficult, but by the third or fourth time, your pronunciation and fluency will improve significantly. If you practice the same short clip for a few days, you'll notice your speech becoming more natural and confident. Recording yourself is also a fantastic way to track your progress. Compare your recording to the original speaker and see where you can improve. You might notice small mistakes in intonation, stress, or rhythm, and you can fix them by practicing more. These steps are simple but incredibly effective when done consistently.
That's right, Sarah. Following these steps will help you build strong foundations for fluent English. And now that we've covered how to practice shadowing, let's move on to some common mistakes learners make and how to avoid them. Stay with us.
Absolutely, David. Avoiding these mistakes will make your shadowing practice much more effective. Let's dive into them and set you up for success.
Now that we've covered the steps for practicing shadowing, let's talk about some common mistakes learners make and how to avoid them. One of the biggest mistakes is speaking too fast without understanding what you're saying. Sarah, I've seen this happen a lot. Learners focus so much on matching the speaker's speed that they forget to process the meaning of the words. Shadowing isn't just about repeating sounds, it's about internalizing the language. If you don't understand the content, you're not truly learning.
That's absolutely right, David. Another mistake is mumbling instead of speaking clearly. Many learners feel shy or self-conscious and don't fully open their mouths when shadowing. This leads to unclear pronunciation and bad habits. To fix this, I recommend recording yourself while shadowing. When you listen back, check if your words are clear and easy to understand. Practicing slowly at first can also help you build good habits before speeding up.
Exactly, Sarah. Another big mistake is skipping difficult words. Some learners simply ignore words they don't know or struggle with, but this only holds them back. Instead, pause the audio, look up the word, and practice saying it correctly before continuing. Break it down into syllables and repeat until you get it right. This small effort can make a huge difference in your progress over time.
And here's another important one: sounding flat while shadowing. English has a natural rhythm, with ups and downs in intonation. If you copy the words but ignore the rhythm, you won't sound natural. A great tip is to use your hand to follow the speaker's voice movement. For example, raise your hand when their voice goes up and lower it when it goes down. This helps you match their natural flow and makes your speech more engaging.
Finally, the biggest mistake of all is giving up too soon. Some learners expect instant results and quit if they don't see progress quickly. But mastering pronunciation and fluency takes time and consistent practice. Even native speakers work on improving their speech. Be patient, practice daily, and track your progress. Improvement happens step by step, and every small effort counts.
That's such an important reminder, David. Now that we've covered these common mistakes, let's move on to our next section, a fun challenge designed to help you put shadowing into action. Are you ready to take your English to the next level? Let's dive in.
Now that we've covered the steps, benefits, and common mistakes of shadowing, it's time to put everything into action. Sarah, I'm excited to introduce our listeners to a fun and practical challenge, the 7-Day Shadowing Challenge. This is designed to help you see real progress in just 1 week. All it takes is a few minutes each day, and by the end of the challenge, you'll notice improvements in your pronunciation, fluency, and confidence.
That's right, David. Here's how the challenge works. Step 1. Choose your content. Pick something that interests you, like a short podcast clip, a YouTube video, or even a passage from an audiobook. Make sure it's clear and at your level. Step 2. Listen to the audio once without repeating. Focus on understanding the meaning first. This will help you get familiar with the context before you start shadowing.
Step 3. Start shadowing. Repeat after the speaker, copying their pronunciation, rhythm, and tone as closely as possible. Don't worry if it feels difficult at first. Remember, practice makes perfect. And here's a bonus tip. Record yourself on day 1 and again on day 7. This will allow you to track your progress and hear how much you've improved over the week.
Exactly, David. And don't forget to share your experience with us. After completing the challenge, let us know how it went. You can leave a comment on this episode, send us a message, or even post your recording online using the hashtag #ShadowingChallenge. We'd love to hear about your journey and cheer you on as you improve.
That's right, Sarah. The key to success with this challenge is consistency. Even practicing for just 5 minutes a day can make a big difference. And most importantly, have fun with it. Choose content that excites you, whether it's a motivational speech, a movie scene, or a podcast episode. Remember, every time you shadow, you're getting one step closer to sounding more natural and confident in English.
We believe in you, and we know you can do this. So, are you ready to take on the 7-day shadowing challenge? Let's get started, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more tips and techniques to master English. Thanks for tuning in to Speak English Podcast, and we'll see you in the next episode. Happy learning!